So how's your week going so far, Janice?
Good. I was just outside playing some disc golf. It's
Nice.
really nice outside. And my job is inside, so it was like,
Yeah.
sun.
Sunlight.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a good week. And my last week is next week coming up at my job. So
What do you do for your work?
I work at Jackson County Mental Health. I'm a crisis therapist.
Okay.
So manning the suicide hotline.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a rough job, and especially after the wildfires.
Yeah, I was gonna say COVID and the fire.
Yeah,
people are probably all over the place with that.
You know,
Help.
Right, and there's already not a lot of resources, and then now it's just way worse. So COVID, that all the shelters, they've either shut down or they take up like less people. So sucks.
Yep. You got to be creative and think outside the box and figure out how you can still do your job and with all the restrictions and everything. It's kind of good.
I'm just keeping an eye on the Oregon Board of Massage Therapy, OBMT.
Oh, okay.
Make sure they don't shut us down again.
Yeah.
They could. I don't know. I have an email at some point that's like, okay, we're backing down again. Please don't go to work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're saying they're trying to encourage employees to, if they can stay home, but
yeah, massage therapy.
You can do.
And I
turn around and get a massage your shoulders now.
I only do massage one day, and that's it. I go home. I'm like,
oh goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pull this down. Okay. We've got.
Oh.
She said her daughter Ginger was taking a nap and she didn't know if she was going to make it because she's off on her schedule because she had like a 2-hour nap in the morning and so they were off her sleeping schedule. So she didn't know if she's going to stay down. Sounds like maybe not.
Nope, we are awake.
Oh boy.
Hi, baby.
Okay. Little ones, you never know.
Yep.
Oh, that is
she doesn't have her hearing aids in, so she can hear mostly. It's just like the upper part of the speech banana that she can't hear. So like whispering or like quiet background noises, she doesn't hear.
Did you say speech banana?
Yeah, that's how they explained it to me, is that the way that we hear, there's like a banana shaped.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain
it. Or spectrum.
Yeah, spectrum. There you go. And it's like she can hear all of this, and then up at the very top is what she can't hear.
Okay.
So that's what they called it, speech banana.
Okay. It works.
That's cute.
We all kind of knew what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Shape in our mind. That makes sense. Well, it's 4:05. I don't know if we're going to get any other takers, but if they hop in, I'll just let them come in. So we are on lesson 6 this week. Fun lesson, colors.
Yay.
And some descriptive words. But let's start with our warm-up. Let's just do the fun warm-up and we'll do the Itsy Bitsy Spider since you guys know it, right? both of you guys. And that'll be fun for your little daughter, entertain her a little bit. All right. Itsy bitsy spider,
down
came the rain, wash the spider out.
Make sure you stretch out those arms as much as you can. Out came
Right all the rain.
and the itsy
bitsy
spider climbed up
the spider.
Can you grab your toy for me now? All right.
Nice. Gonna have your other daughter join in?
Oh yeah.
With us?
She knows a little bit of the alphabet.
Are you gonna learn sign language with us? What's your name?
Jenny.
Jenny?
Mm-hmm.
Jenny. Okay. I bet you know how to spell your name. Do you know how to spell your name?
Jenny.
With your hands.
Sign language. Your name? I'm glad you know how to spell your name in that way too.
She's left-handed too, so
That's fine. It all works.
We just learned that this summer.
Wow, good job. So we're gonna review numbers.
Okay. 21.
21. Let's see it. 21. 21. Like 21 guns.
21.
Gotta do the little thing because it's like 21. 21.
Okay.
So let's just do, you guys have 1 through 10 down pretty badly, and then what about like 10 through 20? Do we need to go over those again, or yes or no?
No.
It's just like 21, or no, 22, 23.
See, the 20s about
Let's do 20 through 30.
21. 22.
So,
I just forgot your
it's like
special.
20 and then 0, 20,
Yeah.
21, 22,
22.
23, 24, 25 or 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And those are ones to just kind of practice kind of over and over and over again, because it's kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel
like 22, 25, 27.
Yeah.
And then it's like
you're thinking you want to make it, you're doing it, you're not doing it, right? So it just takes practice. So practice, like, even when you're just sitting around thinking, practice spelling words, practice spelling the items that you see. I see a ball. I see, sock. Just start finger spelling practice the items that you see around the house. Numbers that you see, or just running through the numbers. It's just kind of the more you do it, the better you get. So, so we've talked about in the past. Well, let's see if you guys had any questions from previous lessons. We like to review the numbers. We like to review the alphabet sometimes, but I think you guys are pretty solid on the alphabets. I don't like to waste a lot of time on that. And the numbers.
Threw me off for the quiz was subordinate. I didn't get what that it was. I don't know. It was weird. I was like,
let me look at that lesson and see if I can see what they were doing. Pull it up really quick.
Where is it?
Was it from lesson 5, the quiz for lesson 5?
Yeah.
Where'd it go?
There was it was on the video quiz, I think, and then it was on the just the quick little practice quiz, I think.
Trying to see if he's got like an actual script. Excuse me.
1, 2. Yes.
I'm looking at this video to see if it will.
Where did I see it? Oh, that's the one with the video. Darn it, I just saw it. Oops, I clicked on an ad.
I watched the video. Was it the one about talking about her sister, like sitting at the computer all day, talking on, like not going to school? I don't even know if it's the right video.
No, so it's down at the bottom, underneath everything. It says lesson 5 practice quiz.
Okay, let me see. Oh, there we go. Practice.
So it was the last one on there. Oh no, wait, that's with. No, I'm right. It says subordinate. It's number 6.
Number 6. Okay, so maybe I'm not. Okay, check your instructor or your syllabus regarding your periods. I see practice sheet 5E, 5F, 5G, 5H. I see. Is it for practice quiz? Visit lesson 5 practice quiz. Is it that one?
Yeah.
Okay, let me pull that up in really quick and see what's.
Because I saw the it was one of the descriptions on the video too, was subordinate, and I was like, what does that mean? Do people just walk around?
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, store, home, can, with, church, and subordinate. Oh, as a bonus one, it says with the advanced discussion. So it must have been from the video. Like if you watch the video, he must have added it in and it wasn't on the original list, and he wanted to see if you picked up on that. So I would have to go back and look.
Okay.
At that video. Let me go look. What is the sign? It's with 06 under. He's just doing like under, like subordinate, like below, but
okay.
Sure. I want to see what he did in the video. I'm curious now, but we can go back. I'm going to go back and look at that. Okay. Yeah. So that's what kind of hard to tell from, especially from those, his still pictures, because it's not a video, right? Because it's like first position and then it's showing you mid position and then it's showing you last position. So it's like, if you're under somebody, you're a subordinate, you're a person who works under someone else. And so it depends on like what it references. It's usually kind of like a job related term. Usually.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what that means. So it's definitely correct, but it's very random. So,
yeah, that's what I was kind of thrown off. Like, what?
Sometimes in his lectures, like he'll be going along and he's going through his list, and then all of a sudden he wants to explain something, but then he showed another sign, and then the other person doesn't know what he just signed, so he'll like sign it again. He'll fingerspell it. He'll like type it up on the board, and then like, okay, now they've learned that had this little mini lesson on what this other sign is that wasn't like from the lesson. So that's typical of what he does. And so when he goes through his lessons, I think sometimes he wants to see if you've noticed, we're paying attention to the fact that he just introduced another sign, planned a lesson. So I'm guessing that without seeing the video and watching the whole video by myself right now, that's probably what happened, but I'll go back and look at it and see what's going on. Okay, so let's go back to our lesson for today.
I think the hardest part of all this has been trying to remember the grammar, sentence structure. Like, because if because I'll have to talk out loud, say like if I'm with my husband and his family, and I'll talk out loud, but then I'm signing to him. So I'm saying English structure, but then I'm trying to like sign ASL structure, and my brain's like, I can't do 2 things at once like that. I don't know how interpreters do it.
Well, they don't talk simultaneously. I mean, a lot of times that's called SIMCOM, simultaneous communication. And a lot of time, like SC. So that's where you're speaking English and signing ASL at the same time. But what happens is you just do ASL with English order, which is called pigeon signing, because it's ASL grammar, ASL order structure, which is a lot of times how we interpret that with that same model, that same structure, depending on the needs of the student. If they're completely deaf and more kind of like very deaf culture, very, very ASL, very visual thinking, not a lot of English, spoken English or heard English through either, hearing aids or cochlears. And then they end up they tend to swing more towards it's again, we're talking about a spectrum here, right? We're talking about there's a hearing spectrum, but there's also a sign spectrum. So
sign banana.
ASL, right, on one end, and like the signed exact English on the other spectrum, and so it swings. And pidgin is kind of that, you know, somewhere in the middle, you know, and so like you, Jessica, and your mom were, you know, talking about how you guys learned that and learning the difference between the two. So you don't have to feel bad that, especially you should expect that one of them is going to suffer. Either you're you cannot have, lots of people can do better if they're used to doing it. It's still not going to be 100% perfect. Maybe their signs will be more ASL, but usually they're like, somebody else plays voice for me, I want a sign. Like the deaf person to get the fullest extent of the message, and the hearing people are still going to get an equivalent message, right? But when you try to give an equivalent message to both deaf people in the room at the same time, the deaf are most likely to suffer for equivalency, because you're losing, you know, structure and space and all that kind of stuff that you can do with ASL that just kind of goes out the window when you're
I guess I'll only able to be able to do true ASL grammar structure if I'm not talking.
Correct. And it's so much easier because it's just something happens with your brain when you turn off your speech. I mean, there should still be some English on your mouth, but you learn more ASL, you know, mouth morphemes and things that you do to add support and emphasis to what you're doing with your hands. And the more you're around deaf people and the more you talk to them, the more you see some of those things and you start incorporating that more in your sign language. So, excuse me. It's definitely good to learn correct ASL grammar and to try to practice it when you can, especially when you're signing and not speaking at the same time. So you don't need to give up on that goal, in other words, but you don't need to stress out about trying to maintain ASL grammar while you're gumming. So, okay. So, talking about, let's see, since we're talking about grammar, talking about time concepts, we talked about like past and present, like right here, and then future, right? And how you can show verb tense, like something with an ED is something that happened in the past, it's finished, so you can attach a finished modifier onto it. If it's ing, it's process, it's going, you know, it's ongoing. So that's kind of, you know, present, you know, progressive, it's in the present. Future, like we will do something, or that's going to happen in the future. Sometimes the will is implied. Sometimes the past is, you know, well, I mean, it's understood. We have a good knowledge of English, so we know when someone said something that's in the past or the present or the future, mostly. Just by talking. I mean, even if we are not super great at English and it's not our strong suit, you know, like maybe English grammar and learning how to label words, we still kind of have a concept that, like, we know that today is present and yesterday is past and tomorrow is future. So, you know, those are some good, you know, things that to know. So we're going to also talk about like a timeline concept, like if you're talking about how you can represent time, like the days and the weeks and the months and the years, and like in past, present, future too. Probably not a whole lot. I'm looking at his list and it just doesn't look like we're going to go into a lot of that, but I will do some of that since we're going to be talking about that and it seems like it's applicable. And then numbers 101 to 99, we briefly talked about this. We touched on the hundreds being like the 1C, but also just bending the finger represents that's 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, like 6, or because you can't go 6 and then bend the fingers, like it has to go back to the C position. It just doesn't work. 700, 800, 900, and then every number in between is the 3 numbers. So one be 123. So whenever you add those 20s in there, it becomes super awkward. But the other one's like 145, you know, not quite as awkward, but the 20s are just so. But you can also, instead of always having to do like, you can do 123, but it just depends on showing like wanting to make sure it's clear, and depending on what you're talking about. Like if you're talking about an address, you don't have to say, I live at 123. You know, we don't talk like that. We say 123, you know, Brown Street, you know, or 1415, you know, Narrow Way, whatever. You know, that it's how we talk. So you're going to sign the same way. You're not going to say 1,445. You know, for an address, right? Or maybe even a phone number. Some people say like 536 5670, you know, or 5070. But usually with phone numbers and things and addresses, people try to be more specific. So they make sure you're clear, you know, exactly, you know, what they're talking about. Money is, you know, depending on what you're talking about, but you can say dollars, you know, and cents, and we're not in the money right now, so I don't want to, you know, go too far off. But the amount is 56, you know, 55, you know, that would be dollars and cents. So you would still kind of like, in the way of doing numbers. All right, so I'm gonna look at this really quick and make sure. So yeah, we're talking about grammar in word order, subject, verb, object agreement. So where he's talking about, for example, like my car, when did I wash it? I washed it in the past, or last week, you know, I washed it. So you usually, when you're talking about time, you want to kind of show the order is kind of the what and the excuse me. I'm going to make sure I don't say this wrong because I kind of do it naturally. So for example, he says the boy threw the ball. Boy, so the person who did the action, and then the throw the ball. Or you could say ball, boy throw. So the action voice is the subject, verb, object, meaning boy is the subject, the action, and then the object. The passive voice, so that's the opposite, would be the ball, the boy threw it. Or so that, I guess in that sense, it would be if the sentence was the ball was thrown by the boy, then you would end up interpreting that differently. You would say boy, or the ball, sorry, you know, and then point to the boy and then throw it. So depending on how the sentence is worded would sometimes be different for how you would order it, like what you would put first. So, and also like he's saying word order and your choice of word order depends on your audience is familiar with the topic. So what are you trying to do? Explain, remind, confirm, negate, like what's your, you know, especially with teachers and how they teach, you know, students, how you set up the words in the word order that you put them in makes a difference with the meaning of what you're doing. So he's got quite a bit of examples. There's also something called topicalization, meaning it's not the same thing as a topic, like a topic comment, like if you want to make a comment about a topic. So it's more like, let me see if I can find a good example. It's how you phrase or emphasize things. So the best synonym that I can come up with for topicalization is how you emphasize something. Now you can do it with facial expressions, you can do it with pauses, you can do it with pointing, you can do it with finger spelling something, but it's like, hello, look at this, you know, so you're trying to, for some reason, you know, it'd be like underlining a word or bolding the word. Like if you, I didn't mean me, you know, so obviously I just did something with my, my voice, my inflection, my body language, all of that is an example of topicalization, something you do. The whole point of why you're trying to say what you're saying, kind of. One of the examples that they have is someone stole my wallet. And so that's kind of dramatic, right? So just like, someone stole my wallet, my wallet, whatever. Someone stole it. How you would sign it, you'd be like, someone stole it. So you're showing, emphasis, and they repeat stuff too. Deaf people repeat signs a lot for emphasis. And sometimes they'll even rephrase. They'll say one thing in one way, and then they'll give you the action, and they'll go back and reverse it, do it the other way. And they'll be like, know that my son, my grandson, Georgie, kind of like we do. We kind of stumble over ourselves to add like extra clarification to make sure, we know exactly who that person is, what we're talking about. And they'll be like, oh, yeah. And then, oh, and then it's like, oh, now that you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, he ran away. What? So it's interesting things that we do in conversations. There's labels for everything. And, without belaboring everything and going into a whole bunch of detail and being too complicated and, just trying to keep it simple so that we can kind of start to just analyze just a little bit, just the way that we think and the way that we talk. It starts to make more sense, especially when you're translating between two languages. The more you understand the tools that those languages are that you're working back and forth in between, the easier it is to navigate back and forth between the two. And a lot of times we do things without thinking about it. Subconsciously, whatever, kind of innately, we don't really think about what we're doing. This kind of makes you actually analyze how you talk and how you think, and well, what does that look like in ASL? How would I sign that? And does that really mean that? So all of a sudden we start like super analyzing, and we don't want to overanalyze, right? But anyway, sorry, I don't want to gab too much. I want to do some more signing. So let's get back and let's start going through the list, and then of the vocabulary, and then we'll see if we can do some of the sentences at the bottom. Okay, so this is a sign for color. I have no idea why. It doesn't really make sense, but
because kids eat crayons.
I was thinking kids eating crowns. I mean, that's how I remember. Yeah. Black. This, the way I remember this is smearing black on like a that black stuff, that they put on their face for like playing football and stuff. That's how I remember. Brown. Brown and tan is here too on the face. Brown and tan. Red.
I thought this was teen, or I guess this is teen. Tan.
Okay. Red is I imagine the red from the lips and just pulling it down, maybe smearing your lipstick, your red lipstick, however you want to remember that. Pink is also there too with the P. The middle finger's on the same thing. Orange, kind of like squeezing orange juice into your mouth. And this is a sign for orange too. The color and the fruit are the same. I've seen this too, orange. I've always done it over here on the side, but I'm going to click and see what he's doing it right in front of his mouth. So I'm going to make sure I do that same. No, don't want to play the video. Stop. Okay. All right, orange, right in front of your mouth, orange. Blue, and he grouped them because where your location of where you're doing the signs are all on your face. So black, brown, red, pink, orange, they're all up here on your face. The second group of colors are down here and you're shaking them. You're doing the same action. B, blue, yellow, green. He forgot purple. My favorite color. How dare he? Purple. Okay. White. I imagine like a white t-shirt. If you're pale, it's like taking the color and then throwing it up on your face. Pale. White skin. Gray, because it's in between. It's an in-between color, gray. And if we do colors, we have to do rainbow. It's just a nice.
I do like that sign.
All of the, like you're drawing lines in the sky and you do a nice little arch, rainbow. Mm-hmm. All right, draw, since we're talking about color. So this little pinky is like your paintbrush or your pen or something. You're drawing squiggly lines on your hand. Art or draw. It's also the same for art. I've also seen like this, where they show the orientation of the palm out and they're drawing like backwards with their hand on their palm. I'm gonna see how
for like writing a book, like you write a book.
He does it. He's doing it out too.
Okay. We did it like you would hold a pencil, but yeah.
It's like draw. The eye is for crayon, and is this for pencil or?
Pencil is like this, pencil. And then just pen is finger, is like the finger spelled. And then I've seen like M for marker, but it's kind of.
Yeah, with kids, you have to differentiate, definitely.
But definitely pencil to the mouth. They used to lick it or something. I don't know yet. So, okay, we did finish. All done, finish. Future, we know that. And we did present, current, or today. That's all now. Long. Something is really long, but to me, long has different meanings, right? Are you measuring something? Is it a long amount of time? Is it a long distance? So what are you talking about? So you wouldn't necessarily, you could say it's really long, like it took a really long time. You could sign that, but there's probably better ways that you would want to sign that to show that something took a really long time. Or that cat had a really long tail. Maybe you'd be like, tail. You wouldn't say long, right? You could.
Is like far away a different concept, or is that the same?
Yeah, really far, really far, right? So you wouldn't necessarily say, but the drive was really long. You could be like, oh, we were like driving forever. But so you could show it or explain that the drive is really long, and with different signs and body language and all that kind of stuff, without saying, we drove for a really long time. Boring, right? And not necessarily like equal. Like equivalent, right? So those are the kind of some of the things that I want you to start thinking about in changing your English brain to your ASL brain, right? Just different ways of looking at language and how you understand it and how you represent it. Okay, so old. Think of stroking your beard. Beard, right? Old. Orange, old. I've even seen them do orange here, which totally messes it up, because I went to this deaf thing a long time ago, and it was like a, I don't know, deaf celebration festival thing for hearing people to come find out, what the deaf community's like and all that kind of stuff. And they had these objects and they were signing it, and it was like, he's like, where's the, and I'm like, and I'm looking for an orange, or like an old truck. And he meant to sign orange or something, it was really close. And so I got it wrong, because I was like that one word off. And so I'm just like, oh, duh, orange. Because I always thought, orange was kind of more over here. Like it should be like juice is right here. So orange juice, right? Makes sense. But anyway, I digress too much. Paper. Okay. Paper. But there's also school, like, paper is kind of more of a backwards, like you turn your hand and kind of face it more to the back. I've noticed there's a little bit of a differentiation between how you sign it. There's also page.
I can't see your hand very well. Could you
page.
It's
So
backwards.
left hand, and I'm going backwards with my thumb towards my body. Yep, page. But this is like page like in a book, but you could also like, you know, like you're thumbing through the pages, right? Maybe that's a good way to kind of remember it a little bit. I'm not sure why he's doing different variations on like the meaning of it, because let's see, I want to see how he's actually signing it in the, yeah, he's doing it kind of out to the side, not really to the back. He's doing it like out to the side. So either one would be pretty understandable and mostly accurate. So if you did it like out to the side or sort of to the back, if you're just going like this and you're kind of clapping your hands together, that's more like school or academic versus paper. This is dictionary, and I don't know why he's got this in here as a variation D, and you're kind of doing this dictionary.
Are you tapping or are you moving it backwards?
I'm kind of sweeping out quickly. Dictionary. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we did past, before, previously. There's also long ago, so it's like throwing it over your hand, over your shoulder. So I'm over my right shoulder here, and I'm going back, and they'll be like long time ago, right? Once upon a time. So that's how you would sign that. And future, I mean, you can emphasize it's not like, it doesn't go the opposite for the future. For some reason, that's not like way in the future. They only have something for the past. I don't know why. It's just kind of like you go back and back and back. But okay. So we've got, I don't want to skip ahead too much. Self. So I've got my little person, and I'm just kind of, I've got my knuckles right here, and they're on the back of my finger. Self. It can be herself, itself, himself, yourself. I'm just moving it over. I'm not necessarily showing, I'm just showing a differentiation in space. Like if you were talking about this one person and you were pointing and there's a name, and they'd be like self, right? It can be yourself, myself. You don't have to emphasize it with you and then self, or me and then self, or he and self. It's just, you've set up who that person is first, so you know who you're talking about. Like you're gonna do it yourself, right? So because we already know who we're talking about, the self is implied in who we're with or connected to who we're talking about. Excuse me, without having to label it.
So the person is the left hand, and the other one is the right hand, right? Am I looking at that right? Okay.
Yeah, it's like this is a person, and it's them, focus on themselves, right? That's a good way you can remember for self.
Yeah.
Kind of memory. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Looking backwards my brain doesn't work that way.
Okay, self, tomorrow. So thumb. So we have a couple of signs and things that are kind of like right here. So tomorrow is out just a little bit into the future, right? Tomorrow. Yesterday, or even yesterday without the Y. I mean, you can keep the Y if you want, but I've also seen this. Yesterday, tomorrow. And then every day is like tomorrow, 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 every day. So it's not every day, it's every day. When, this is when as in a time, not when I go to the store, I'm going to buy milk. That's happen. Happen, I the store go, buy milk. Well, so that's when or happen.
How?
You want an example of how you use when? When?
Yeah, because to me those are both times. So I'm like, how are they different?
When is more like, think about it like more like order. First this, then this. It's more like when I get to that point, this is what I'm going to do. But when, like, with what time specifically? Like
when's your birthday?
Yesterday? When's your birthday? Right. Date,
Yeah.
specific date, specific time, specific time frame. What period of time? When did that, when did the event happen? When was the war of World War II? What year? When?
Okay.
Right? So that's how you use that, the two differences between the two.
Oh, I did not know that. Been using this like for everyone. So then if it's, you said when I go to the store, because that's on a specific time, that's happen.
Right, exactly. Happen. So when it gets to that point, right? Because it's not like at 2:05 when I arrive at the store, I will go in, and then at 2:15 I will buy milk. Like, right? We don't know when it's going to happen. So we just say, well, in the event of, and if somebody used that phrase in the event of, you'd say, happen. That thing happens, then whatever else is going to happen, right?
Well, how would you sign when I go to the store?
Like, huh?
How would you sign with happen when I go to the store?
So I would say, so I'm setting up, if I'm going to go, when I go to the store, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just letting you know. This is what I'm going to do. When I go to the store, I'm going to buy whatever, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And there's probably other examples, but we don't need to go into it too much, but find other examples if you want. And if you notice that and you see something, you'd be like, oh, look, there's that when.
Mm-hmm.
Think about, how would I sign that? Like, would I use, which when is it and how would I sign it? Okay, it's almost like we could have a whole lesson just on that.
Probably, yeah.
Little tidbits of things that are getting like thrown at you, and it's so much information. So anyway, you don't need to get too overwhelmed by it. Okay, year. The Earth goes around the sun. So my right hand is on top. It's going out to the front, underneath my left hand, and back, and then onto the top. Year.
What was weight?
Wait. We skipped it, sorry. Think of that little, button, it's waiting to load. It's like a moving thing, right? So I kind of think of it like that. I don't know. You're waiting, still waiting, and waiting, and waiting, and waiting. All right, so that's a pretty good indication. Let's pick some of these sentences and then just practice them a little bit. Because I could go into a whole nother thing on time, like last week and next week and this month and days and all that, but that's not in the lesson. It's super complicated. So
are you looking at lesson 6 sentences or lesson 5 sentences?
Yeah, I'm looking at lesson 6. Yep.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it to the sentences. We're losing people over here.
That's fine. That's fine. If you need to go ahead and go. You're welcome to practice those on your own.
Yeah, I will. And yeah, I'm gonna go feed her.
Okay. Sounds good.
Hopefully next week it'll work. Our next week is Thanksgiving.
Next week we have class, but then 2 weeks from now is Thanksgiving, so we will not have class, obviously.
This is why I had my.
So I will see you next week.
Okay.
Bye. All right. So Janice, let's practice some signs. Okay. Why don't you pick one? Pick one that you are like, I have no idea how to sign that, or I don't know what I would sign for that, so we could get a little bit more out of this.
Like pick one from the practice sheets of
any of the practice ones that you're looking at. Kind of scan over them, see if there's some of them that you want to practice with me, and then definitely practice these on your own. But I'm wondering if there's some ones here that, most of them you should be able to sign them because you've been given most of the vocabulary so far. So that's kind of the point of the practice, is to not get learned yet. But which one do you want to do? You can tell me, and then we'll.
Name something itself black and white. I don't even know what that's asking.
Name something that is black and white. So it gives you in the parentheses, that's the English order. When it gives you first in the, it's called a gloss. It's called, and they write it in caps on purpose because it's giving you the label of the sign that you're supposed to sign. So you say name, right? Something itself, black, or white. Notice he didn't say, well, I'm not sure why he didn't sign black and white, because that could be black or white. And until I looked at the English sentence, you know, black and white, black and white. I mean, you could do and, but it's not necessarily, if I was going to do or, I would say black or white. You know, probably try to show that it was like or. But here we're trying to sign name something that's black and white. And you could say and, right? Black and white. They could see that, you know, the words on your mouth too, so they wouldn't miss it.
You were doing the or, and you were doing the order. Do you go black and then point, or do you point and then black, point, white?
You could do either.
Okay. Okay.
It's probably less confusing if you point first and then do the color. Like. Okay. Okay. Do you draw well? How would you sign that? Do you draw well? Okay. So for this, couple of things. First, who you want to identify the subject first. So make sure you say you, right? And you're going to ask a question. So your eyebrows are going up, you, and then draw well. You could say well, but I mean, in this one, I would sign, you know, do you sign like skilled, like, are you good at drawing? Because that's different. But I think I'm going to look at this because I think he's signing good. Yeah. Yeah, he said, do you draw good? So don't want to complicate it. Uh-huh. And you could go you again, yeah, at the end. You draw good. So if you look at his black sentence, that's what he's actually signing. And then the blue one is what it is in English. So read the blue first so you can see where you're going with it. And then read the black to know what you're supposed to sign. Because it's literally going to give you a map of each sign that you have to do. Okay, what's another one? How long have you lived there? That's a good one. Okay, so look at the sentence. How long have you lived there? And then
I'm trying to do it without looking because I want to. I'm practicing.
That's fine.
So repeat the question.
How long have you lived there?
Let's see. That's how much. So it would be. See, and then this, I would say long.
You could say how many years, but you don't. In this, yeah, you could sign how long because that's the way he set it up. That's the way he's teaching you how to sign it, and so it's okay to do it that way. Yeah, I just watched. That's how he signed it, but
So you.
Yeah.
Is that close?
You live there how long? And you point there, right? That's called indexing. When you use your index finger to point and indicate, you're talking about either a person or a place, a location, right?
What was this again? This is how.
How. Yeah, he did the twist thing though. Okay. What's another good one? Have you ever lived in a big city? Okay, do it again. I was looking at it really quick because I wanted to see what. Okay, you. Okay, I'm going to voice what you just signed and then tell me, you live in a big city? So what are we missing? What component there are we missing for, have you ever lived in it? Yeah, there you go. Okay, where are you going to put that?
Does the time go at the beginning? So.
It can. You could say, did you live in a big city before? But that's more like, did you used to?
Okay.
Right. So you might want to, in setting it up, have you ever lived in a big city? He's setting it up. You live in a big city? That's you. You know, maybe like sometime in the past, have you ever so far, like from before? I don't know. To me, that's a little bit confusing. I mean, it sort of, I'm wondering if there's a difference. You know, I think if you signed before you live in a big city, it's almost the same to me. So I'm wondering why.
Where would you have signed the before?
I would have done it. I probably would have done it first, like, but and looking how he did it, I mean, it's the same, and it's probably more closer to being grammatically correct the way he's doing it. So I'm just gonna lean on, you know, I'm wondering now myself whether doing it that way changes the meaning, or if it's just not, you know, grammatically correct. But okay. What else? Are you going to school tomorrow? Uh-huh. And you don't always have to point you at the end. Like you can just drop the sentence like tomorrow you're going to school.
Okay.
Right? Or you can keep the question eyes up, or you can be like, you know, something like that. But you don't necessarily always have to add like the you at the end.
Okay.
Sometimes you do. Like, for example, he's got, do you get anxious when you wait a long time at the doctor's office?
Oh my God, that's a long sentence.
Okay, so first thing, so think about, you are the one going to the doctor's office, right? So you want to set that up first. So you want to set up the person and then the action, then the place, then what are they experiencing or feeling when they get to that place? So it would be, you go doctor. Wait long.
Would you do this, or would you just be like, oh.
You could say he might have signed, I'm going to see if he signs long, or if he actually shows that he waited a long time by using his facial expressions. Yep, he did the facial expressions, which I knew that he was going to do. Okay. So, sorry.
Did he do like the?
Make sure you, yeah. Okay. Right? Okay, so you can have fun with that, and it's good to practice doing that to show that time is passing and you're annoyed, or right, you're anxious, right? Crossing your legs, tapping your foot, you know, doing all this stuff, kind of stuff, right? Using classifiers, showing what's going on, you know, with your body, and you become that person in the moment. You're acting it out. So that's a little different than just signing the words. I go to the doctor, I wait a really long time, it's really boring, and I sit there and I'm really anxious, you know, like you can show so much more. It's like you get this little snapshot into a little video. It's almost like they can see what's happening in that moment for you, and it's so much more entertaining. So, oh goodness, my boys just slammed the door. And that, like,
So, okay.
Okay, so you go.
And then it was
sit, you, and they say you, because they're pointing to you again. You, sit, and then anxious, you. And
I forgot the sign for anxious.
that's nervous, which would be equivalent, right? Conceptually equivalent. I'm wondering, there's a couple of, there's nervous, there's, you know, this is kind of like more like nervous or scared. I'm going to see what he does though. You sit, 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 sit. Oh, he didn't even sign anxious.
Oh. Did he use his like face?
He just
or... Okay.
So, like, I don't know. He's showing by his body language and the classifier that you're anxious.
Okay.
So that one was like kind of high level, you know, like
that's a hard sentence.
Really learning how to apply your body language and your facial expressions and your what's going on with your, and then your classifiers. So it's like using all of those skills to do this little, summarized visual portrayal of when you go to the doctor's office. It's just so interesting to me, the two languages and how you go from ASL is really cool because you go from a 2D spoken language to a 3D visual language. And it's not like any other language. Any other language would be is straight across. It's still verbal and audio. It doesn't matter what language it is, right? Yeah. This is the only one, so it's unique in that sense.
Funny because my husband says that so both of our kids are learning, and our 6-year-old, he's like, she's much better than you at like the idea of using motion and facial expression.
Acting.
I have to unlearn like a lot of years of poker face at my job and all that stuff. But it's cool that they start young. So hopefully it feels more easy and innate because they haven't been taught yet to not be expressive.
Yeah, you have to be really comfortable with acting things out and I think we should do some more of those types of activities together to get you guys kind of more warmed up to that type of thinking, because then you really start to incorporate more facial expressions of body language into the language because it's so important to it. Can't stress it enough. Okay, we're almost out of time. Do you have any more questions at this point, or are you good to go with wanting to, practice? I mean, you're welcome to keep going, practice as long as you want. Have you done any like practicing in front of the mirror or like trying to like do any of that with your recording yourself or anything like that?
No.
That's fine. It's fine.
I'm still trying to like remember.
Right. What to do with
I literally have to think all the way to the end of the question and answer it, and to be like, oh, that's a yes or no what question. So that's eyebrows up, or is it an open-ended question? That's eyebrows down.
Yeah. So yeah, I would just practice saying the questions without sign language. Practice seeing what happens, see if you actually do some of those things naturally with your face. And if you don't, overemphasize them on purpose so that you can see what your face is doing. So, because you'll start to train yourself a little bit more. Do those, the topicalization things, with or asking questions, it'll start to make more sense. If you do purposeful practice that's exaggerated, then you'll start to, you'll think that it's not, but when you look at yourself, you'll be like, oh, well, that looks normal, right? Used to over exaggerating our expressions with everything that we do and how we talk. And we're not super animated. Some people are extremely animated and they talk with their hands and their facial expressions and body language. I'm kind of naturally that type of a person. So it was easy transition for me to do all of that stuff. That stuff all came naturally to me. It was the language and the structure and all of that took more time. Other people, they got that, but they're like, it's not their strength, right? It's not their natural strength. So it takes practice, and I still have to practice, and I don't do it all perfectly, but a lot of it does come naturally to me. So
yeah,
purposeful practice.
Well, and the nice thing about is quitting my job soon is that I have a lot more time and stuff once that's done with. And so I'm excited because I want to take some more ASL classes, do a lot more practice stuff. Nicholas and I have a book that he's been wanting me to go through with him and stuff, all kinds of stuff. So I'll finally have time.
Yay. That's And I hope, I know that we're going to continue on with these classes and do some more beginning classes, like repeat. And I'm hoping that they can have some people kind of continue on. So if people want to continue advancing, they can continue to advance. And then other people can kind of take like the beginning classes so that, people can continue to do stuff. We'll see. I think it's a possibility though. So thanks for joining, and have a good
you.
weekend. And I will see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.